your company manufactures a tremendous volume of mohair fabrics. Can you tell me what makes mohair desirable to the end customer?
Yeah, I think William Halstead and John Foster would probably be regarded as world leaders for making mohair fabric. I think over the years we have gained so much experience on how to make a beautiful English mohair, and as such it will always allow us to visit the fashion houses of Italy and Paris, and also the major customers of Japan, and show a mohair collection. It's something that they're waiting for. They want to see what we have every season that is new in our mohair fabrics. What makes it special is that, one, it's very difficult to make. Mm-hmm. Most people believe that making a mohair fabric is the same as making a wool fabric, but with a different fibre.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not.
There's many processes that could lead to difficulties in the final fabric.
So it's a bit like the linen fabric, maybe, in terms of the difference in process?
I would say so, yes, but
okay.
it's much harder to do mohair. The tensions that you have to look after, the mending that processes that. If you mend a mohair in the same way as a worsted fabric, mm-hmm. you would end up with what we would call a bruise on the fabric, which would then be a big mark on the final suit. Mm-hmm. So there are techniques that we use which are obviously very specialist and very secretive to make sure that we produce beautiful fabrics. What makes it so different is that the mohair fibre is naturally a very good conductor for heat. So when you have a final garment, it breathes naturally. Mm-hmm. So in the Far East, for example, in Japan, they will have unlined jackets during the summer, mm-hmm. and they will be able to quite comfortably wear those jackets in very hot climates and very humid conditions. The other very good property of the mohair is that it is naturally resistant to crease.
Yes.
So that, yes, it creases a little bit, but if you hang it up after 24 hours, those creases will have completely gone. The property of a mohair is that the mohair will absorb dyestuffs in a completely different way, yes. and gives you a very vibrant colour afterwards. Yeah. There's nothing more classic or classy to wear a plain mohair navy suit. It is the ultimate garment to be worn by the Japanese businessman.
How should I approach mohair as a customer? Because a lot of mohair cloths are very different from what normally sells in boutiques today.
Yes.
Especially I think of something like the tonic, which is an extremely thick, almost a cloth that doesn't look like a normal cloth today. How should I approach appreciating mohair?
I think there are certain fabrics that are much easier to sell in somewhere like Kuala Lumpur than others. The tonic 3-ply mohair, right. which is a very traditional fabric, very heavy by nature, is something that is actually quite difficult to wear in this climate. Mm-hmm. There are other fabrics that are much more fluid and soft, mm-hmm. and have a much softer touch. I think the secret for selling mohair in this type of country, such as Kuala Lumpur, is to make sure that you have a soft touching mohair. I mean, when I say soft touching mohair, I think it's still important that you feel the characteristics of the mohair.
Right, the crispness and the
ruggedness.
Yeah,
well, ruggedness is quite a scary.
But the tonic definitely is rugged.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and it is. I think there is a certain mohair crispiness to it that you know is going to give you that resistance and that performance. We have a new bunch coming out, which mm-hmm. is quite interesting. We call it Summer Strand, mm-hmm. Which is a suburb of Cape Town in mm-hmm. South Africa. All of the mohair that we use comes from South Africa.
I see.
It is the number one country for mohair. We have made that into a fabric which is 6% mohair uh-huh. and 94% super 100s.
Okay.
So that fabric has a natural softness to it, mm-hmm. but at the same time is also creating the crispness of the mohair. And it's a good introduction. I think the lower the percentage, 25%, 30% is probably the level of introducing somebody to a mohair fabric.
Yes.
We do lots of fabrics which are 60%,
Yeah.
but they tend to be for the real aficionados.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with those, but there's almost like a stepping stone for this type of fabric to be tried and tested first of all. The William Halstead brand of ours makes 100% Camdebou mohair. Camdebou mohair is like the most exclusive area of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the best of the best. And we produce this 100% mohair, which is actually very difficult to produce
Mm-hmm.
because mohair naturally slips. So when you have 100%,
Yeah.
it can actually slip over each other,
Uh-huh.
can the fibres and the yarns.
Okay.
So therefore you have to use even more extreme techniques to produce a beautiful fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Our fabric in the 100% Camdebou that William Halstead sell leads to a really soft, beautiful fabric. But predominantly that's for blazers though.